What's up everybody? Today I'm going to teach you how to heel flip, but this time it's in first person. So before we get started, let me switch it to both angles so you can see if you're regular or goofy. Now for this trick, there's not really any prerequisites besides the ollie, but I recommend, obviously if you can get ollies, maybe some 180s, and also maybe some shove-its. So you don't have to do the rest, but it'll really just help with your board control and it'll give you a better chance of landing the heel flip. All you really need to know is the ollie. So pretty much the basics of the heel flip, what's happening is you're going to be popping the board and then you're going to be using the corner of your heel to hit the corner of the board so that it flips 180 degrees in front of you so you can land it. So if you look again, we use the corner of my heel to hit that corner of the nose. Right? And that's how you get a heel flip. So first key tip or common mistake that kind of happens is a lot of people have the wrong foot position or an uncomfortable one. So when you're ollie, your toes are kind of like just here where you can just slide it. But for the heel flip, you actually want it so the corner of your heel can hit that corner of the nose more. So you don't want to do a heel flip in this position. You want to scoot the heel up the board so it's sitting a little bit on this side of the board, right? So basically want to scoot it up so you have more room to kind of slide and hit that corner. It's really hard to do it from here. You can also even scoot up really far if you want to. It's just kind of like a personal preference. What I do is I kind of have it where a little bit of my heel is hanging off and a little bit of my toe is hanging off. So just making sure my heel is ready to flick that corner so I can go like this. Now with your back foot, you can either do two things. I like to just put my back foot either in the center of the tail right here, but some people also like to recommend putting it in the back pocket. Kind of offsets like scooting your heel side up more so you're not really like leaning one way. It kind of like just balances the board. So either keep your foot in the back pocket or just, put in the center of the tail. It's really just whatever works best for you. Also, it's storming. Random side note, I actually filmed the tips for all this video, but my GoPro glitched and didn't record that part, and I didn't even notice until after I took a shower and like really wrapped up for the day. So I'm back out here. So if you see me in two sets of clothes and the time of the day looks different in the video, then that's why. All right, so now for the second tip or common mistake is the flick of it. Some people may think you have to like just use the bottom of your heel to just click it, right? You don't want to use the bottom of your heel. You actually want to use the corner of your heel, like the side here, to flick that corner of the nose. So one thing you can do is like put your tail down like this and just use your front foot to get that flick down. So like I said, instead of just kicking straight out, what you want to do is, like an ollie, you want to slide your foot to the side, almost like you're bending your ankle before you flick, so you can actually get this to flick it more. So I'm going to bend it first and then flick out, so this corner hits the corner of the nose. So you see I bend and flick out, bend and flick out. I'm not really just like kicking straight out, right? So if you see, I'm kind of like bending my ankle before I actually flick. I'm not really just like kicking straight out. So I would say that's like one of the most important things to remember with this heel flip is that you want to make sure you bend your ankle before you flick out to the corner. That's like really one of the most important tips for the heel flip. I'll show you again right here. Oh, almost fell off that, but still. Bend your ankle before you flick out. Common mistake number 3 is honestly one of the most common ones, is that when people heel flip, they either jump in front of the board or the board goes behind them like this. It could also be something like this where it's super drastic, where it just goes really far behind you. So there's only 2 potential things that really can be happening. The first one is that you're leaning too far over your toes as you do this, so it just has a natural tendency to have your body be more in front of the board. Or sometimes you could actually be jumping forward, which actually causes you to jump in front of the board. So honestly, the main tip that helped me combat this issue when I was having it is really make sure you're like leaning back behind your heels, right? You want to not lean over your toes. Really the goal is to like stand straight up, so it's not like you're leaning too far back or too far forward. You want to be able to stand straight up so you can stay over the board, but sometimes it's not as easy as that. So if you have a natural tendency to lean forward, making a conscious effort to lean behind your heels, act like you're sitting in a chair behind you, can like cause you to stand more straight up as you do it. So it's kind of like more of a mental thing. It is kind of physical since you're leaning back, but I feel like it just helps you stand up straight more. So if you look at an example, as I'm rolling by, instead of like leaning over my toes, I'm gonna try to lean a little back more and stand straight up so I can stay over the board. And even though I didn't land it, you see like I was still over the board. So again, make sure I'm standing straight up or leaning back if I have to, so that you can stay over the board and commit to it. Let's do it again. Simple like that. Now, it may not be like a simple fix right away, but just like making sure you make the conscious effort to lean back towards your heels if you have to, that can really help out a lot. All right, now for the last common mistake or key tip is to make sure when you're trying to actually commit to this trick, make sure you tuck your knees up really high as you do this. I see a lot of people have like a natural tendency for like after they pop, their back foot just goes straight to the ground. So if you do that, your back foot will almost never get on the board. Since your back foot's going straight to the ground after popping, it's not gonna stay above the board. And it can also be the other case with your front foot. You could be flicking downward, so like as soon as you're flicking, you're kind of just going straight to the ground. So again, like your feet don't really have room to stay above the board. So if you look while I do this heel flip, I'm really making sure I'm tucking my knees up after I flick and pop. Right? I'm not really, you know, just putting my foot straight to the ground or anything. Now, this can be scary at first, but one thing you can do, you don't have to commit right away. You can actually work on tucking your knees up and just not committing, just making sure you're getting the flip and pop and just keeping your feet above the board. So if you look closely here, I can actually pop and flick with the heel flip and just tuck my knees up but not commit. Right? I can just get the feeling of that. So whenever I do that multiple times, I'll be ready to just fully commit to it. So you can also like try to land with your front foot only. That's why I highly recommend, if you're gonna land with any, like just one foot, don't land with your back foot only, because it kind of like forces you to jump in front of it and put your front foot straight to the ground. So that's like not really helpful for the heel flip at all. So if you're gonna land one foot, do it with your front foot only. So again, really just make sure you tuck your knees up as you do the heel flip. Also, another like quick tip, if it's rocketing as you're doing the heel flip, it might mean that you're not really hitting it off the nose as much. So try to aim more towards the top part of the nose as you flick, so it kind of like makes it nose dive a little bit. Just look towards the nose, get the corner of your heel to hit it as you flick. Alright, so hopefully my GoPro got all of that. Now it's going to go to the different part of the day where I was in different clothes, so you can get slow motion clips of this, so you can really just analyze how the trick's being done. Trying too much. All right, so that pretty much sums it up for the heel flip. Again, just going over the tips. Make sure your heel is pushed a little bit up and don't leave it too far back like an ollie or anything. Make sure when you're flicking, you're actually bending your ankle before you actually flick out, and make sure you actually really like, you know, flick far out as you do that. After that, make sure you stand straight up or lean a little bit back in the back seat if you have to. In the end, just make sure you really tuck your knees up to make sure you can commit to it. So if you want to see another tutorial with more angles than just the POV angle, make sure you click the link in the outro. Otherwise than that, that's going to sum it up for the heel flip video and POV. Oh goodness, barely hung on to that. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.